it's Chrissy from Knitting in the Heights. So this is Saturday, August the 13th, 2022. So I thought I'd just pop on and I'm going to give you a little bit of a project update on Colleen's sock today. In case you don't know me, I'm Chrissy. I live in New York City and I'm a knitter and musician and music educator. So I've been working on socks for my daughter Colleen. They're actually a Christmas present, and I don't think she'll watch this, so we'll just, whatever, it's fine. The plan is, it's basically, I'm taking some leftovers and some minis. So I already finished the first one a while ago, and it's a really nice yarn. It's in the Mercury Socks pattern by Kim Drotter. The yarn, the cuff, heels, and toe are all mini leftovers from Dandelion and Dogwood's 2021 Advent Calendar. And then the main color is a leftover from a club colorway from Sweet Sparrow Knits called the May Fairy. It was her May club. And all of the yarns are actually gold sparkle. So I'll see if I can catch some of the light. It's actually, the weather here has, the heat is kind of broken a little bit. It's still hot. It's still summer. It's still August. But it is significantly nicer right now. Okay, so this is where I'm at. So I'm getting close to the toe, actually. It really isn't that much further here. I'll show you. Just do this so you get an idea of them back to back. Yeah, I think I have like to finish. Looks like I have to finish the repeat I'm on and then do one more repeat. Maybe two. Two repeats. It doesn't take very long with the podcast on. And then I get to do the toe. And the reason I ended up striping the toe, I wanted a stripe of green, but I ended up having to end slightly earlier than I wanted to with the main color because I wasn't sure if I'd have enough for the full pair. Because I had measured out what I had left and I split it in half. And so basically it'll be most of this. There may be a little bit more left over, but not much. So yeah, so I'll be working on those today and into tomorrow if I need to, but I may actually be wrapping it up pretty soon, which is kind of nice. Worst case scenario, I'll be on the toe tomorrow. So yeah, so those are the socks. Those are my Mercury socks I'm working on for Colleen, who is my 12-year-old daughter, by the by. So I was going to actually take a look at a project. It's a long-standing WIP, also for Colleen, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. So I am knitting the Gowdy by Julie Knits in Paris for Colleen. I started a very long time ago with yarn she had picked out when she was probably 4 years old, and now she's probably 5 years old, actually. So now she is 12 and she's 7, and I was like, okay, let me make a color work sweater for her last year, and it just got put aside because of Christmas. There was no way I was going to finish it in time. So I worked on it a little bit. I've worked on it here or there, and then she's always been a very thin child, and very small, not short, but small. Like she always had like her limbs were very thin all the way up. And so for a long time, she was wearing the same size clothing. The only thing that changed was her height. Kind of like my son Gabriel. So the only thing that changed was his height. And so he can get into clothes that he wore when he was 3, but he's 7. Because his waist size, if anything, I mean, it's a little bit wider, but not much. Because he was always on the thinner side, and so was Colleen. And then all of a sudden, when puberty hit, her body changed significantly from December until, I would say May. And when I saw, I spent some time with her. So she does not live with me. She lives in North Carolina with her dad, but we talk every day on the phone. I noticed she was changing, and then when I saw her in person, I'm like, oh my God, this sweater might not fit her. So, and I'd been talking to her stepmom about it, and we've been talking about measuring her. So they were out clothes shopping today. So I said, what size is she wearing? Like, what size is looking like it's fitting her? And they said, woman's medium. I had been knitting the small. Here, I'll show it to you. So this is, again, the Gowdy by Julie Knits in Paris. I want to make sure I don't lose my stitches because I'm going to get the beginning of a round. So I didn't really go that far. So my whole thing was I wasn't going to knit anymore until I knew this thing was going to fit her, which I think is fair. Okay, because it's a lot of knitting for a teenager to do. And hopefully she would take care of it. So anyhow, so we're at this stage now. So we're about 15, this is 15 yards, not yards, rows into the color work. And so I had to make the decision, am I frogging this thing? Am I, yeah, frogging it and just like going to save the yarn and do the sweater for her later? Because I have plenty of yarn to do the sweater at a bigger size for her. Or do I go ahead and just persevere and get through it, and if it doesn't fit her, give it to somebody else? But I didn't want to knit something for her, tell her it's for her, because she knows I'm knitting this, and then have it not fit her. And so she and I had talked about it, and she knows that it's possible I wouldn't finish this for her at this time because she's growing so much. However, they measured, basically she's in a women's size medium, I'm knitting the small. There is like 7 inches of positive ease actually built into the sweater itself, like actually built into the design. So now that I know that, and I think I'm fairly on gauge. I mean, you know, for me, when I make gauge swatches, they never look what they're supposed to be, because I knit a sweater for myself about 5 years ago, and it was supposed to be a long tunic sweater, and it came down to it was supposed to be just past my hips, like, you know, came down to my knees, and it was like 4 sizes too big. It looked like it was made for a giant. So even though I got gauge on my gauge swatch completely, and I double triple checked it, so it could have been the yarn, it could have been a lot of different things. But anyhow, I think gauge swatches, I do them, but I take it with a huge pillar of salt, because it's not always true, at least not in what I've noticed. So anyhow, so the plan is at this stage, because there is so much positive ease built in, and I looked at like the difference between the two sizes, and there's like 7 inches of difference, and then the medium size was less than that, so it was like 5 or 6 inches different. I think it's fine. I think it's totally fine. And just the way her body shape is anyway, I think it's gonna be okay. It's not gonna be a super baggy sweater, but I think it'll be a good sweater for her. So I was actually trying to figure out, okay, how much color work do I need to knit in a day to make this kind of a worthwhile endeavor to pick it up, to see if I can't get it done in a relatively reasonable amount of time. Because I mean, I don't have to give it to her today, obviously. I wanted to try to give it to her for Christmas, but it's okay if I don't do that too. But I still think, all right, if I'm going to put in the time and effort of doing a color work sweater, which I know does take significant time, let's face it, I don't have a lot of significant time. Like if I were to do about 2 to 4 rows a day, how long would it take me? So the color work portion is about, I calculated that it would take me between 16 and like 20 days if I was kind of doing 2 or 4 rows a day. And that's if I do just that much. I could also just take a weekend and this is all I work on. Or a week and this is all I work on, and I can bust through it a lot faster, I think. But because it's not a repeating pattern. I mean, you can see it's not at all a repeating pattern. So, and it gets more complex, but that's the beauty of this. So and that's okay. I don't mind that being the case. I just think that I would want to make sure that whatever I end up doing, I do it so I can finish it quickly. I don't want to wait any longer. So I'm going to finish these socks. When I need mindless knitting, I will pick up my Botanic Shawl, which I've been working on. And I'll show you that next. And then, you know, if every day I spend, you know, it would probably take me a couple hours. Like if I spend an hour to an hour and a half, I think, on this, and simply because I do have to pay attention, I think it should be fine, because it is going to get bigger because the raglan increases. So anyhow, just so you know what the yarn is, I have the blue is called Araucania Huasco, and it is in the 118 tonals colorway, which is clearly a blue. And that is actually more vibrant than it is. It's a little bit more muted with more of a gray wash color in real life. And then the other color is this, which is Malabrigo. I don't know. I know I have another skein of it someplace, but I don't know that I have the tag in here anymore. Probably don't. But here it is. This is Malabrigo. I think, wait, hold on. Let me just double check because I could be totally wrong. Sorry for this. Blah, blah, blah. Here we go. It is, no, it's Madeline Tosh, actually, in the Gossia colorway. And it's very, very pretty yarn. She's kind of going through this goth phase, but like gothy, punky, she loves everything kind of 80s and 70s. And yeah, she wanted me to knit her black thigh-high socks for Christmas. I kind of put the kibosh on that. I'm not doing that. Although I did see some some over-the-knee socks that I will do in a charcoal gray, and I have the yarn. It's not expensive yarn. It's like not quite wool. I think it's that wool-like stuff that you can get at some big box stores that I've had for a long time. I think I have enough to make those for her, so we'll see. And they're very pretty. So if I do those for her, I'll show you all that. Okay, so let's put this back in here, and I'll just show you the progress I made on my Botanic, because that has been the best knitting for watching podcasts and TV knitting and all that stuff. All right, so excuse me as I reach. And this is living in my So Sweet Violet bag that I got no, it was more than 2 years ago now, but it was a Valentine's Day kit that she did when with the Little Tailoress, when she was still the Little Tailoress yarn. Okay, so here we are, and you can see that there's definitely the color changes have happened. I'm really loving this knit. It is super easy. I should take these stitch markers off, but it's, I don't know, I've got so many of them, I might as well use them on something, right? So they're marking the repeats for me. There you go. So there it is. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share today. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!